The geopolitical landscape of West Asia has shifted from simmering tension to a full-blown regional crisis. Following coordinated US and Israeli strikes on Iranian soil, the geopolitical red line has been erased. But as the strikes continue, India's attention is fixed on a 33-kilometer wide strip of water, the Strait of Hormuz. It is a narrow ribbon connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. It is, without exaggeration, the jugular vein of the global economy. More than 14 million barrels per day flowed through the strait in 2025, a third of the world's total seaborne crude exports. About three-quarters of those barrels went to China, India, Japan, and South Korea. Every major oil-producing nation in the Persian Gulf must route its exports through this single passage. There is no overland alternative, no bypass canal, no pipeline network that can replace it. After coming under attack, Iran exercised one of its most powerful tools of retaliation, choking the strait. Reports suggest Iranian naval forces have been broadcasting warnings to commercial vessels, announcing a ban on transit. While a complete closure has not been confirmed, even a temporary disruption can cause economic havoc. Iran could spike oil prices above $100 per barrel simply by making the strait unsafe for commercial traffic. India's exposure is acute. Nearly half of its total monthly crude oil imports, roughly 2.6 million barrels per day, transited through the strait in January-February 2026, up from around 40% in late 2025, sourced primarily from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Kuwait. About 60% of India's natural gas supplies move through the same corridor. Given that India imports 85 to 90% of its crude requirements, it has almost no domestic buffer. A sustained disruption would mean higher import bills, freight and insurance spikes, supply tightness and mounting pressure on the rupee and fiscal balances. India's refined product exports, 74,000 barrels per day routed via Hormuz, would also take a hit. India holds approximately 83-85 days of total oil reserves, strategic and commercial combined, already short of the internationally recommended 90-day threshold. Beyond that point, the country faces severe fuel shortages. India's emergency options are narrow. Saudi Arabia's East-West pipeline and the UAE's Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline offer partial Hormuz bypasses. But both have finite capacity and are prioritized according to the producing nation's own export strategies. They can cushion the blow, not absorb it. India's traditional fallback, discounted Russian crude, which became its primary supply lifeline after 2022, carries its own diplomatic risk. President Donald Trump has stated that India agreed to halt Russian oil purchases as part of a broader bilateral understanding. If that channel is squeezed simultaneously with a Hormuz disruption, India's options narrow to almost nothing. This is India's impossible calculus, a country that has historically walked a tightrope between Washington and Tehran, buying Iranian oil for years, investing strategically in the Chabahar port, now finds its economic vulnerabilities and its diplomatic balancing act converging at the worst possible moment. New Delhi will be closely watching what happens in the next 48 hours in West Asia as it prepares to embrace the effect.